Hi, welcome back to the Nourishing Routes channel. My name is Marissa Pendleberry and this is Nourishing Routes, where I'll be showing you how to love food, adore your body and become your authentic self. In this week's episode, I want to talk to you about how all foods are allowed, and whether you're in eating disorder recovery or have had a really negative relationship with food, I can guarantee that if you've been in any of those situations, you've placed some restriction over food. Whether that's been counting calories, only sticking to certain safe foods, and also making sure that what you eat is either really very healthy or limited in some kind of nutrients such as carbohydrates, protein, fat. And in eating disorder recovery or trying to gain a healthy relationship with food, sometimes we can fall into the trap of gaining another form of disordered eating, or at least an unhealthy relationship with food. So for example, when I was in eating disorder recovery, I kind of flipped my obsession with calories, counting calories, restricting calories, to an obsession with healthy eating, or making sure that what I ate was unrefined, had no sugars in it, or especially if it didn't have any artificial ingredients in it. And I gained this really big fear around eating unhealthy foods, or what society would classify as unhealthy. And I know that's the case for many of you out there, that during eating disorder recovery it's easy to flip the switch button from one addiction to another. So quite quickly you can become fixated on the types and the quality of food that you eat. And although you even might gain a healthy amount of weight or be classified as recovered physically according to medical standards, your relationship with food might still be quite flawed and it might be still quite unhealthy. So for example, I work with a few people with eating disorders who might have recovered physically, but when they go out for a meal, that still sends them into panic mode. They still obsessively read the packets of labels on food, and going out to eat with friends without planning in advance, or at least making sure that they know exactly what they're eating or taking along their own food with them, becomes really difficult. I've been in that situation as well. But I'd like to guarantee with you here that all foods in recovery, no matter how refined they are or unhealthy they are, chocolate, sweets, biscuits, cakes, everything should be allowed. And this is part of having a healthy relationship with food, because I don't believe that full recovery is possible if you're still placing a restriction upon yourself in any way, shape or form. And in fact, because you've placed so many restrictions on yourself for so long, you absolutely deserve 110% to break free from the chains of guilt, shame and restriction. I'm guessing that some of you have felt that if you've broken the chains once or twice even, that you do feel guilty at first, you do feel shame or disgusted about yourself, but all those feelings aren't exactly truth. It isn't truth that guarantees the fact that you're a worthy or lovable person. You know, food does not define who you are. The quality of what you eat does not define who you are. And in fact, there is actually a healthy kind of spin on eating unhealthy foods or refined foods and cakes, biscuits and sweets in recovery, because that's healthy for your mindset. It's what's feeding your soul back to wellness. Also, because you've done probably so much damage to your body over the years, whether that was months ago, years ago, several years ago, then your body needs to repair. And of course, having healthy foods is a great part of a balanced lifestyle. But also, typical refined foods can actually play a part in the healing process, because your body doesn't see it as evil. Your body sees that food as vital energy resources that it needs to repair muscle, repair different tissues of the body, and more importantly, help your mind function at its best. There's nothing worse than going into one of your favourite restaurants, or a friend's favourite restaurant, or a cafe, coffee shop, wherever, and looking in the counter and thinking, okay, what can't I have? What am I not allowed to have? Even if you're allowing yourself enough energy to sustain yourself in the day, if you're placing restrictions on yourself, that's really no life at all. It's unnecessary chains that are keeping you weighed down unnecessarily, and it's basically restricting you from living life to the full. So the way I was able to break free from this whole restriction and other addiction around healthy eating was to challenge myself to my fear foods. I challenged myself to all the different restrictions that I'd placed on myself over the years, from one thing to another, such as, not allowing myself anything with dairy products. I would allow myself things with dairy products in them. Anything that was classified as low fat that used to be safe, I eliminated. I would only eat full fat things. And also I'd take myself to somewhere like Starbucks, Costa, or a coffee shop around the corner, and this is something I still do now actually, and actually say to myself, what does Marissa feel like today? What does the real you feel like today? Is it the less than 100 calorie snack that's on the healthy counter? No. It's actually the big cookie that's over in the corner, or it's the muffin over there that's not classified as this skinny muffin. It's the cheese panini. It's the sandwich that has loads and loads of filling in. It's not something that I've brought along with me as my safe food. And the more I did that every day or every other day and challenged myself to the things that I previously wasn't allowed, I felt so much more free. And honestly, my health skyrocketed, even though I was eating healthy foods. That was just part of the small balance of my life. So I was still going out with friends and family and feeling unrestricted to go to the places I wanted to without worrying about food. And that gets me to another similar point actually, is if you're still worrying about food, like constantly, or at least for over an hour a day, which is so easy to do if you've ever had a disordered relationship with food or an eating disorder, then that's so life limiting and so much more unhealthy than any biscuit, cake, sweet or bag of confectionery ever could be. The real change and unhealthy things in your life are around your relationship with food. And once that becomes more free and more loving, and you can be more accepting of whatever you eat without that whole process of guilt and shame, then that's where real recovery comes from. It's definitely not just about BMI or getting to a healthy weight or even what medical professionals say is their version of healthy. It's what's healthy for you. And being able to eat what you want, whenever you want, how much you want, without that whole fear factor or guilt process or shame process. You deserve food, full stop, all types of food. And this is why I don't recommend things like, going full vegan in recovery or raw food vegan in recovery. I can really understand that has an important part to play in the welfare of our planet as a whole, and it's a philosophy that at the core I believe in. But even for myself, I don't follow those things because it can add so much of a restriction on your life if you're in recovery from an eating disorder. And it's not to say that anybody who's ever had an eating disorder can't go and be vegan in the future or vegetarian in the future, because, it's all part of getting yourself to a healthy place first. You can't heal the planet or be the healthiest person alive if your mind isn't well. And that should be the key priority for you and myself. And I know it's a long journey, and I know the process is going to be really difficult at first, but it's so, so worth it. And when you go into things like the cinema, or you're going out with friends and you're there and eating your cake and having a biscuit with your tea, and you're not feeling those feelings of guilt and shame, feeling horrible about yourself, it's times like that where you realise how free life can be and how worth it recovery is. Because it's helped me so much to get to a happy place. I'm no longer extremely anxious or depressed or loathing around my body, and this is why I'm so passionate about the message of Nourishing Roots and showing people that all foods can be good food. Without fear, judgment or hating yourself, you can love yourself unconditionally, and that's part of the beauty of life, and getting to a place where you can reach your full potential. So on that final note, I'd like to just say thanks for watching, and I hope that you can go away from this and realise that you can recover or get to a place of developing that positive relationship with food where all food is freeing, loving and allows you to be your very best self. So that's a thanks from me and a goodbye, and I hope you have an amazing week, and I hope to see you soon too. Bye!